Hello, I'm Ben from MAGURA. Today I would like to give you an introduction to fitting the Easy Mount. Easy Mount is the new fastening system that exists as an alternative to the previously known EVO 2 system. Here's a quick comparison. With the EVO 2 on the left and the Easy Mount on the right. The main difference is simply this. We have a ball joint adjustment inside the EVO 2 system, which means we have more degrees of freedom to compensate for greater deviations from the cantilever pin. The Easy Mount does exactly what the name suggests. It simply makes fitting easier. Here we have reduced these degrees of freedom. For example, in this case, the brake's degrees of freedom. In terms of the adjustment, this means that we can set the height of the entire thing and can accordingly adjust the position of the lining in its orientation towards the rim. And the distance between the brake pad and rim is then continuously adjusted below using this adjusting wheel. What else do we need to consider? As the Easy Mount is slightly thicker than the EVO 2, longer screws need to be used. Essentially, everything is clearly marked. For example, the quick-release screw for the Easy Mount system is marked with the red screw lock. The quick-release screw for the EVO 2 is marked in blue. The same applies to the screws on the fixed side. The Easy Mount once again has a red screw lock, and the screw for the normal EVO 2 system is once again blue. So blue for the shorter screws for the normal EVO 2 system, red for the longer screws required for the Easy Mount. What's worth mentioning is the use of the mounting plate. The standard mounting plate is usually used. However, if there is something preventing its attachment to the bicycle in some way or other, such as a luggage rack or a light holder, there is also an alternative mounting plate, which is about 15 millimeters higher. This is just a quick overview of what's available. I will now put these things aside and show you how to attach the Easy Mount to the bike using standard parts. Before putting on the mounting plate, first place the washers underneath. The reason for this is simply that we need a certain amount of support surface to ensure that this mounting plate does not reinsert itself into the cantilever socket. We therefore need to start by installing the washer on the left and right with the flattened point facing up. We can then turn the quick release screw on one side, where the quick release will be positioned later. And then attach the mounting plate. When attaching the mounting plate, it is important to ensure that the bracket points toward the front rather than the rear. Otherwise, it could collide with the frame or fork. So simply ensure that this bracket points forward. Then we can start by placing the side with the quick release on top, naturally making sure that when the adapter is placed on top, it actually inserts into the bore from the mounting plate at the top with the support, and can therefore be mounted cleanly. Here it makes sense to secure the whole thing first with the quick release on the side, so that you simply fasten it here for the time being. And we can now turn to the other side with the screw. Here we do exactly the same thing. For example, once again ensure that we have inserted the adapter at the top with the nose in the mounting plate. And then screw the fastening screw into the cantilever socket at the front. Then screw and turn in the whole thing so that it is lightly fixed in position. You'll know you've done it right if the adapter aligns itself on the cantilever base, and assumes its correct position. Making adjustments is then easy. Next, make sure that the mounting plate is aligned so that the settings are correct on the right and left, and that the mounting plate is neatly parallel. Not slanted on one side, but completely parallel with the frame. At this stage, it is important to ensure that the surface is not too high or too low. If it is too high, it will stick into the tire and damage the tire when braking. If it is too low, it will move under the rim. This means that once we have adjusted the height here, we will continue with the alignment of the lining of the rim. Adjust the distance from the brake lining to the rim at the bottom using the adjusting wheel. The distance here should be about 1.5 millimeters between the brake pad and rim edge. Once we have achieved this, tighten the fastening screw. Here with a torque of 4 Newton meters. Check the tension of the quick release again. Check the height to ensure it is properly aligned, and then adjust everything on the other side. Once again, check the alignment of the lining to the rim, the height, and the distance using the setting wing of the plastic receptacle. We also need a 1.5 millimeter distance between the brake pad and rim edge here. The setting at the top should then be 4 Newton meters. Once we have done this, we can tighten the fixing screw to 6 Newton meters. Finally, we need to once again check the mount and ensure that the wheel can turn easily. Then check the function of the brake. If everything can move freely and the setting is correct, that is, the lining is not too high or too low, and is cleanly attached to the rim edge, the fitting of the easy mount is complete.